Max Easy Lessons. Today we are going to look at the structure, the narrative devices, and the conflict that existed in Breath Eyes Memory. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Click your bell notification so that you will not miss out on any of the lessons that will help you towards gearing for your CSEC exams. If you are returning to the channel, thank you so much for doing this. Continue to stay connected as there is a lot more work to be done. So keep your bell buttons on and let's do this. Structure, narrative devices, and conflict. Now the novel is divided into 4 sections. There is Sophie's departure from Haiti to New York where she learns her mother's secrets. There is also Sophie's relationship with Joseph and her testing and the fact that she has deliberately ruptured her hymen. Then we have Sophie's return to Haiti with Bridget because she is not able to enjoy sexual intercourse with Joseph. And one sees that Martine joins Sophie and there is some amount of reconciliation. There are also challenges for Martine's, and this comes in section 4. There are challenges for Martine's pregnancy, there is her suicide, there is her burial in Haiti, and then there is the healing circle of women in the Haitian culture. Let's talk about the narrative devices. The first up is the first person narrative. This is where Sophie is an adult and she tells her own story. It is important because we learn that Sophie has now taken charge of her life and she will not allow anyone to tell the story for her. They will not be allowed to name her or basically judge her based on her past. Sophie as an adult look back on the past that she really now understands. She never understood it before as a child, but as an adult, a grown woman, she understands what had happened and she understands why things had happened. She is now reconciled to what happened to her as a young girl, and she is also determined to change that part of her Haitian culture because she doesn't intend to allow it to happen to her daughter Bridget. Now, we could say that Sophie's past was overshadowed by the ideals or the teachings of the Virgin Mary, but then her future belongs to the Haitian beliefs in Erzuli, the goddess of love, healing, and joyous celebration of life. Moving on to the setting quickly, there are two main settings. There is New York and there is rural Haiti. Poverty exists in both of them. Now, if you do know history of the West Indies, you will remember and understand that many West Indian persons had left their homes in the West Indies, whichever country it was in the West Indies, whichever island, they would have left there to go to the United States to work for a better life, for educational purposes, and for economic status. Right, there were 3 main reasons for moving. 1 was that they would become financially better. 2, they could get a better education. 3, they simply wanted a better way of life. So Martine's move to New York would have meant that for her. But when Sophie got there, she realized that New York was just as poverty-stricken as Haiti was. In fact, some would also say that the beauty of Haiti, the whole connection between the people as a unit, would have made Haiti far more better. Even though they were poor, it would have made it far more better than New York. Through Sophie's eyes, we see that New York is dirty. There is dilapidated buildings. There are dilapidated buildings. There is rubbish and graffiti everywhere. Homeless people sleep on the sidewalk. Idle boys often throw bottles at car windshields. And of course, her mother's car. Her mother, Martine, has a car, yes, but the car makes a lot of noise. And there are loose springs that digs into Sophie's thigh. The apartment building that Martine lives in, it is dark and it has a musty smell. There are water stains running down the wall and these water stains come from the roof. Martine, Sophie realizes, has worked very hard, and for some reason, the hard work that Martine carries out in New York would perhaps signify that she had never left the cane fields any at all in Haiti because she was working just as hard when in fact her whole goal of going to the New York was to get a better life. Now, Danticat does not focus on the commonality of poverty. She does not even attempt to romanticize the rural life in Haiti. The fact is that the landscape of Haiti is one of dusty car tracks, overladen mules, tolling bells, cemeteries, roadside markets, wooden shacks, charcoal pits, and all of these are scattered across the landscape. There is also the challenge of the political riots that were going on. Tantamakoots toting their machine guns, yet despite all of the poverty, despite all of the political challenges that they were having, there was warmness, there was greeting, people lived in harmony basically. People lived together as a group, as a unit. And within that unit, there was some sort of richness in the way people interacted with each other. Both locations, there is no doubt that both Haiti and New York showed that there was poverty there. There were poor living conditions, there were long working hours, and of course, in rural Haiti, guess what? It was just about the same thing, except for the fact that the people in Haiti had strength in their hospitality, the way they shared their stories, the way they held their pride in keeping their natural landscape, their physical environment properly cleaned, and there's the fact that they shared faith. Now, the other narrative device is storytelling. This is important to the West Indian culture. People share their stories. People talk about the culture through their stories, and therefore it was a means of passing along the traditions of a country. Haiti, and the story that Danticat tells, is no different. It is no different because these people told their stories as a way of concretizing, asserting their place in the world and in the history of the world. Now, in telling her own story, it is Sophie who we see taking control of everything around her that had once threatened to destroy her. She is now a stronger woman as an adult, and she is grounded in all of the events that has happened to her in her past. Now, through their stories, everybody who tells us stories, generations to come will know the true history of one's cultural background. Let's move on to the conflict. And this is not going to be very long, people, because there is part 3 coming up. So you've stayed with me this long. Just stick around a little bit more. Let's look at the different conflicts. Now, as a whole, and this can help you for language too, and for every aspect of literature. Conflict exists between individuals. Conflict also exists between the individual and the society. And conflict exists between the individual and self. Now, as we watch Sophie progress over time, we realize that Sophie has conflict with herself. Sophie has conflict with the societies in which she has lived. And Sophie has conflict with her mother. So 3 types of conflict would have affected Sophie on many levels. And not just Sophie, Martine too would have experienced these kinds of conflict. So the characters in the novel, they have passed through different experiences that would have created challenges for them. Instead of having happy relationships, they had to suffer through the original conflicts, the present conflicts, and perhaps the conflicts that would not even exist in the future. Sophie cannot respond to Joseph's lovemaking, but she desperately wants to respond. She remembers Martine's testing. Now, as we go further into part 3, I believe, but let me just quickly say here, testing was the way girls in Haiti, well, it was a process in Haiti where girls were tested to see if they were still virgins or not. Now, Martine tested Sophie. And because she did constantly every Friday, we found that this affected Sophie in the future. She could not respond sexually to Joseph's lovemaking, even though he was kind, and so she resorts to doubling. Doubling means that she could absent herself mentally from any encounter and still be there physically. Now, there is no doubt. Martine is loved by Sophie. Sophie loves and has a strong compassion for Martine, whose suffering is very clear. Yet she knows too that Martine is responsible for the fact that she cannot respond to Joseph the way that she is supposed to. Martine also loves her daughter dearly, but every time she looks at her daughter, she is reminded of the fact that she was raped, and it was Sophie who became the product of that rape. So it was very difficult for her, and she struggles with that conflict with herself, with the fact that the society had failed her, with the fact that an individual had raped her. Martine definitely suffers with this and from this and struggles. She has nightmares, and so she struggles as a result. We realize that she struggles as a result of all of this. Buki, Sophie's friend at the counseling session, has also been violated by her grandmother. And of course, she too hates what the grandmother did to her. But she loves her nonetheless because she did understand, and all these characters understood, that it was just a part of their Haitian culture, that it was nothing done to harm them. But at the same time, it was traumatic for these women, and it tore them apart emotionally. And to that extent, they could not enjoy normal relationships. The Haitians, as a whole, they experience conflicting emotions when it comes to their homeland too. They want a better life, and so they must leave their homeland, but they do love their country. They do love their people. They wanted to escape from the violence, yes, but the whole idea of that togetherness that existed where families could meet up and have a fun-filled day, just sharing, being kind to each other, that was the aspect of it that they would have missed. The rape of their country, meaning that other people came in and took control, took charge. The Tonton Macoutes, they came in, and this would have meant that life, a normal life, would have been very, very challenging for the Haitians as a whole, and so they would have run from their country. Now, lovemaking in a relationship should have been a delight, and it is a delight for many women, but not for Sophie. Sophie has challenges dealing with this because of the testing. And we come again to the testing as a part of the culture, as a part of the tradition of the country, and we realize that there are so many negative feelings coming out of that, the fear and the shame. This has led to Sophie losing all form of pleasure for sexual relationship with her husband. Now, Martin, who discovers that she is pregnant by the man she loves, she does damage. She does damage, and this is questionable because some critics would say that Mark was responsible for Martine's death, that he physically killed her, and others would say, and in the novel, if you do read it, you will realize that Martine committed suicide. She stabbed herself because she was going through many things. She was going through a lot of things, and pregnancy for her at that time would not have been the ideal option. So, the past hurts us, and yet it shapes us. The past loves us, and yes, the past shapes our present lives and our future lives. The whole idea of history and culture will also play an impact, and a significant impact, on the lives of individuals. And this is what Danticat presents to us through the eyes of Sophie. She has lived through one culture, the Haitian culture. She has experienced the political violence. She has experienced the poverty. She has experienced how culture and the testing would have shaped her life. And so she goes into New York and hoping for a better life, but does that happen the way she wants it to? Not quite, because what happens is that she encounters poverty again, and she encounters a much poorer way of living. And to an extent, this is what creates many of the challenges for her. But guess what? She was able to go back to Haiti. And in going back to Haiti, Sophie was able to put her present life and shape her future life based on the perception of the women as a unit, the women in the society, and of course, changed the whole process of history. So, stopping by, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if this helps you, and don't you worry, there is part 3 coming up, and in part 3 we will look at the characters. All right, so stay tuned. Do not go very far. Thank you so much for stopping by.